What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Bob Arum. Get this. Bob Arum states that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury may still happen. Fury returning to the UK. He says no breakdown with AJ talks, says Bob Arum. Bob Arum also said there were no breakdowns between the Fury side and the Joshua side. None, promoter Bob Arum says, and plans for an undisputed world title clash can be revived, with Britain now a favorite location for the fight. Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua can still happen in the UK, says Bob Arum. Tyson could return to Britain for an undisputed world title fight, says promoter Bob Arum, who insisted that talks did not break down with Anthony Joshua's team. Fury had agreed to fight Joshua for all the world heavyweight titles this summer, but an arbitration judge ordered he should fight Deontay Wilder a third time for the belt. And that fight, of course, will be July 24th. So, Joshua told Sky Sports that the Fury fight will be bigger and better. Asked about remaining difficulties in the Joshua versus Fury deal, Bob Arum says that Sky Sports, the answer is none. He said there were no breakdowns between Fury's side and Joshua's side, none. The fight couldn't be finalized for Saudi Arabia, and then the arbitrator in the Wilder situation felt that he could if he decided the case for Wilder enjoined Fury from fighting anybody else other than Wilder. But if the contract had been signed, he never would have done it. He might have given Wilder some damages, but he would not have stopped the fight. But again, there was no signed contract for the fight. That's what happened. It's a plan, and it's simple as that. Those are the words of Bob Arum. Now, let me counterpunch. Based off what we heard Bob Arum say, some good and bad things. Some things that kind of contradict what people were saying about agendas and their predictions, so to speak, okay? Or projections, let's say that. First off, if these guys plan to fight in the future in the UK, first of all, that debunks all the, hey, Tyson Fury can't go to the UK because his license, he won't be approved because of the investigations and this, that, and the other. People really want you to believe that shit. I mean, they really do. They want you to believe that just because you open an investigation, if that's the case, because I'm not even really sure if UK had actually reopened. Not saying they couldn't, but what I'm saying is, if they open investigations, does that mean your license is revoked automatically? No, because you have to follow out an investigation before making a determination. I mean, everyone knows that. You know what I mean? But in that case, a lot of people were saying that Tyson Fury, the reason why he doesn't fight in his home country anymore is because he can't. Versus what Tyson Fury said he wouldn't. Can't. See the difference? Right? There's a big difference. I wouldn't do that versus I can't do that. Okay, so also Bob Arum said that, hey, there were no breakdowns before him between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Well, to counterpunch that, you could have fooled me, Bob. You know, the shit you and Eddie Hearn talked about and talked back and forth to each other made me think like, hey, this shit's falling apart. Like everything that was built up to that point had just crumbled down. Now, did he say I would never fight him, or Eddie Hearn, we won't fight Anthony Joshua? No, he didn't say that. So you can't say that he did. But if you were to hear those guys bicker back and forth, right, and argue and quarrel over whose fault it was, this, that, and the other, you would think that, hey, man, you know, these guys might just fall out because, hey, Bob Arum's done it in the past. So maybe he may do that now. But as he said, which is a good thing, that, hey, no, nothing has failed. You know, all we needed was the deal signed, and then we would have gave Wilder damages, you know. And let me counter that. First off, that's new to me. That's true. That's too damn new to me, because it's like, well, if that's the case, and you knew Tyson Fury already got off the phone with Prince Khalid and the money was finalized because that was his only hangup, right? That was Fury's only hangup, that he didn't have the money. He didn't have the money, therefore he wouldn't sign. So he didn't have faith that the deal would get through. But then the question is, why wouldn't you sign a deal if you knew that the money that you agreed to was going to be paid to you? That means if you signed the agreement, that means they would have to give you what the contract said. Not if it's proof of funds. What is this proof of funds shit? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, if you either have the money, you don't. Now, I know what people are going to say. Well, you said proof of funds, that what Anthony Joshua said was the $50 million. Well, there was no contract stipulating that they would give him $50 million. It was just an email sent from Wilder himself. But why did he do that? To Eddie Hearn, a promoter. Why didn't his promoter do it, or his manager do it, or his management team do it, or send that over to him? Okay, so let's debunk that before you guys even start. So back to the present, right? Tyson Fury said that, hey, I had to have proof before I signed, which was kind of apprehensive. And then my question is, why was he so apprehensive? He didn't have to be as apprehensive about the money if you signed a contract for the money. That means I've signed over 50 contracts, working in the film industry. Okay, so I know if you sign a contract, once you sign the contract, they have to pay you. They have to pay you. And if they don't, they're in trouble. Then you can go after them and make them pay you and plus the damages, because it hasn't happened before. I've been there, and I know those contracts are different from boxing contracts, but they are rather large. They look like little books, like you're buying a car, buying a house or whatever. So they are big because you have to sign many documents, that is approving the amount, okay? The honoring the contract. So my thing is, if Tyson Fury, like Bob says, hey, yeah, the only reason that we didn't fight Joshua because he didn't sign the contract yet. But whose fault is that? That's Tyson Fury's fault. He should have signed the contract. The day before that, he said, hey, I got off the phone with Prince Khalid, and they're fighting, the money's in the bag. Okay, well, why did you make that statement? You should have signed first, then made that statement. You could have signed, look, here you go. I'm signing to fight for AJ. And then boom. And then that happened before the arbitration determination happened. And then you would have then gave him damages. Only Fury, though. See, what people are saying, hey, Joshua and Fury need to come together to give Wilder bullshit. I wouldn't have gave Wilder anything if I'm Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? Because if anything, I felt I gave him too much with offering him $100 million, because, in fact, you offer someone $100 million, that's what they are worth now. Because they could always go back, like Deontay Wilder said, hey, well, I got offered more money from AJ than you, Tyson Fury. I gave you my word that I'd fight you, though. That type of shit. You know what I mean? So, but he did renege on and said that, hey, I was offered more money. So there you go. I think he gave him too much. But only Tyson Fury, back to him, should have gave damages, because that's only his problem, not Anthony Joshua's problem. Okay, you can't inherit a new problem on a new opponent. That makes no sense. I wouldn't do that if I'm Anthony Joshua, and I don't think Anthony Joshua or Eddie Hearn would want to give Deontay Wilder a penny for anything if it involved fighting someone else. Okay, so the good news is Bob Arum saying, hey, that fight can happen. So this really, what this tells me in closing, this tells me that Bob Arum, Frank Warren, Tyson Fury, they wanted to hold out to see if that fight was worth what it's going to be. And I think they wanted that tune-up fight. So they got their tune-up fight with Deontay Wilder. Congratulations, right? Because none of those guys have fought since they fought. And then if everything goes to plan, they will fight Anthony Joshua either later this year or earlier next year in the UK. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Bob Arum's statement. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.